That's good. Anyways, so with that said, we've had enough downtime to talk about a sponsor we don't have to talk about in-game, which will be a thrilling news to a lot of people who like to come in here and just complain about free content. So, with that said, now we can just get on with it, and no one will have any reason to complain. To the bottom right-hand side, it is our blue Protoss player. This is PtitDrogo. I just saw him yesterday. No, not yesterday. Day before yesterday. No, not before. Day before yesterday. Monday. God damn it! It's been a long week already. But yeah, Monday we saw PtitDrogo in the BTSL Europe group having a pretty good time. Got out of the group without too many issues, if I'm remembering correctly. He played against. Did he play against Namshar first? Now I can't remember. I feel like he maybe played a PvP first. Anyways, he made it out of the group, and that's obviously awesome for him. He's one series away from advancing in BTSL. He advanced in WCS Challenger, so Drogo's on a bit of a hype at the moment. I feel as though Drogo kind of, we had some downtime from Drogo. He disappeared. He didn't really do much for a while. Seems like he's back and playing really well at the moment, which is very exciting to see. And talk about players coming back. Stephano's obviously been back streaming for quite a while, but I have to say, every time I see him play, he looks better and better, competing at the top. His WCS group comes up on this weekend, is it? Is it this weekend? Let me just quickly double check. I literally checked this before the stream as well, and now I just completely forgot. Oh, how can I be so terrible? How can I be so freaking useless to forget every time I check something? Yes, it is this weekend. Laser, Hearthstone, Stephano, and Mana. So that's coming up this weekend. And we do have, to the top left-hand side, he is the Pink Zerg player, Stephano, from Gamers Origin. And to the bottom right-hand side, this is our blue Protoss player, PtitDrogo. Because introducing players just once isn't my style. Sometimes I like to introduce players twice. Just because I ranted on and rambled on so much about the other, sometimes it's good to come back and just in case you forgot, remind you that it is Drogo in the bottom right corner. Stargate opener, and we have seen quite a bit of PvZ today. If you guys, hands up in the chat if you've been here since earlier today. Hands up in the chat if you're here for Kung Fu Cup. Who was here for Kung Fu Cup? Yes, I can't see because we're on a stream delay, but I'm sure a lot of you are being saying, right, me, I was. And so we saw a lot of PvZ earlier today, actually, and we saw a lot of, these Stargate openers into the variety of Archon drop with charge lots. We actually didn't see a single Resonating Glaives playing PvZ today. I think that'll change with Drogo. I don't think it'll necessarily be this game. I don't think it'll be every game. I think once in the series, he's going to try and do something a little bit different with the Resonating Glaives. It's just a best of 3. But I think it's a good way to change things up, and Drogo showed confidence with it against Namshar the other day when he played him in the BTSL. He's definitely shown us it's something he can bring out for himself if he would like to, as we do see a couple of Cryptumors currently pushing out onto the map. And we are just going to be seeing those ones going to jump on top of those unbuildable plates and ready to go. Now, Stephano was actually one of our qualified players alongside, I think Denver qualified too. In fact, maybe Denver and Stephano qualified from the same qualifier. Yeah, these guys, they were qualified through, and Stephano was qualified through. PtitDrogo was just invited, and actually he was one of our straight-up invites. The WardiTV Weekly Season 4 Finals is obviously the finals of Season 4, so it's a bigger event, and basically, for now, or an easy way to summarize it, is all the weeklies that we've done in 2018 so far have been part of Season 4. So we did, I think, 6 events. And basically, if you played well in those events, if you placed high, if you won, if you got second, even top 4 a couple of times, you got invited to this tournament. So players, a lot of players, the only players that are missing are players that would have turned down their invite. So players such as you, Thermal, got an invite. Players such as the last guys, the guys that's on the other group, Soul got an invite because of that. Bly got an invite because of that. So we did a mixture of inviting players through, their participation during the tournament series so far. We also invited a few extra players as well, players who are, have some good faith with me, who are pretty reliable, turn up to events, help to balance out the races a little bit, which I always find very exciting, being able to kind of, it just allows, having freedom to invite just allows you to create some good groups. It allows you to create, not a group that's just full of Zergs, for example. So that's, Drogo's filling the Protoss role here today. That's good to see. As you do just see the Idler's Den has popped up here from Stephano, now the Evolution Chamber, but Prioritizing the Hydra Den goes straight into Hydra Speed. That's the Muscular Augments upgrade, rather than the Groove Spines. Oh, Drogo, 7 gateways in total here. Oh no, that's more than 7 because he's got 2 down already. Ooh, he's going to go up to 8 gateways. Templar Archives as well. He does have this third Nexus, and he took this very quickly as you're able to on Backwater because of the fact it's connected to the natural, and there's no other access point. You can drop into it, but that's about all as the Zerg to kind of attack it. So, as the Warp Prism comes up, I'm kind of a little bit intrigued as to how much of a commitment this is from Drogo. He is still building probes, but obviously with 8 gates and a fast third Nexus, you can definitely get a lot of units out very quickly. Even though the third Nexus is quick, the units come out so fast because of the fact that, you know, as they come into play, you know, the economy is just boosted up, so it's very powerful very quickly. And you're going to be seeing the Prism is just looking around. We see Creep is spreading along the top side, and that's actually a few Zealots currently warping in here from Drogo, so just going to be dropping in towards the main. Is he double Prism? He isn't. That's so interesting that he's actually just going straight into Storm. Doesn't Archon drop at all? Just a few Zealots to maybe harass. Otherwise, just going straight to Storm and just ready to play this macro game. I mean, just embracing it with open arms here on Backwater. The map, which is so kind of macro favored, as we do see this Observer followed, stalked by the Overseer, taken down by the Hydralisk. So, Hydralisk picks up a kill right there. And we are going to be seeing the +4 melee upgrade coming down on the Evolution Chamber on the Natural. Storm is going to be completing very soon. +2 attack is being Corona boosted out. And we do see these couple of Zealots coming into the side. On the south side, onto that watchtower, taking down that Zergling nice and quickly. Well, the Immortal is on its way out as well here from Drogo, so just building up that Immortal count here for the moment, just getting in towards that stage of the game, which you would kind of expect to be kind of coming through right now, right? It's a little bit expedited because we didn't really see any harassment. We never saw this Prism dropping down. In fact, 2 Lings, an Overlord, and the Observer is all that's died this game 7.5 minutes in. So these guys haven't had to waste time, you know, building up kind of units to harass or to defend. They've both been left to their own devices. Usually, that's not a good thing to let the Zerg do, just to macro and do what they want. Because Stephano will just take 86 drones and mass units and be like, haha, I also have tech behind this. But at the same time, you know, Drogo's just like, well, cool, because this is the sort of map where if I get up to 4 bases comfortably, I get a good, strong army, I don't take a bad trade, I can potentially throw down 2 extra Stargates quickly. I can potentially throw down the Fleet Beacon already and start making my own movement towards carriers. And in fact, you know, a lot of Pro Toss players sort of feel if they can get enough carriers on the map, it becomes extremely difficult for the Zerg to fight against it. And a lot of the time, that's what they're looking for is the creep spread, by the way. This is one of the effects of... I almost would prefer if this Warp Prism was on the map, just cleaning up some of this creep spread, rather than just sitting up here, because it's not going to cost Drogo anything more than the first few Zealots to do this. And you shouldn't really lose anything either. Pushing forwards now, this creep is already beyond halfway along the map. On this map, that's insane. The Warp Prism gets shut down there as it flies in. The Hydra's well positioned. And those Hydras are going to clean up those initial couple of Zealots. He is just cleaning some creep here. I really don't think Drogo can attack when this much creep is on the map. There's just so much freedom for Stephano to split up, set up a massive surround, and just come in with the creep speed boost. And just absolutely dominate a fight. So I don't think there's any way Stephano can realistically take a... Drogo can realistically look to take a fight anytime soon. I'm not sure if he wants to. I think he'd want to maybe bait Stephano into coming in to attack him so he can defend a fight. It's when you kind of win a fight on a defense that you can maybe start to justify those couple of extra Stargates that switch into carriers, you know? Coming down to the south, he's going to find himself some creep chambers as well. Yeah, and the more of this creep he shuts down, the a bit better it becomes for him. Stephano, I don't like this angle coming all the way from this north pathway and only from that northern pathway. You know, but you can see how it's scary, right? If he comes down here and over here, that's scary. And, you know, he's got the creep to do that. So, it really limits what maybe Drogo can get done. Prism into the third base. This time he keeps the Prism alive. The Zealots will be get out with pretty quickly, though, so not really much gained. Just kind of distracting, but again, I guess it gives him the chance to get the army back on the map and clean up another couple of creep chambers here, so that does add up a little bit. Some Banes wolfing in right in the front. Stephano cancels, morphs them in a second time around. This Queen over here got taken down. Somewhat important. Without the Queen going down, it would have been a couple of bits of trouble. And look at this, Drogo, just a 5th base. What earth are we watching? 10 minutes has just passed, and we've just seen a 5th base finishing from both players, more or less. That's an average of an expansion per minute. Well, not expansion per minute, expansion every 2 minutes, but I guess you start with an expansion. So he's expanding once every 2.5 minutes. That's an insane rate of taking bases. If you just sit down and think about that, every 150 seconds you take a new expansion. What? That's crazy. We are going to be seeing these few Hydras going to start being picked away at. And we do see so many Archons in this army. I kind of like Drogo's army to fight with here initially. The Storms are huge on the Banes and Lings as they run on in. The Hydras, though, get rid of all the High Templar. A few Banes did end up connecting, I believe. A lot of Archons left over, though. Here's the issue. Where are the Warp-ins from Drogo? Well, they're actually over on the third base. I guess that works. Some harassment being dealt. 16 workers going down. Suddenly, Drogo's on the fourth, and he's starting to take this down. This hatchery dropping very, very quickly. It goes down. And we are going to be seeing Drogo winning out this fight up to the top side. Lings and Hydras coming in and getting a little bit more done as drones run away off over to the right-hand side here. And we are going to be seeing this hatchery going down as well. Suddenly Drogo strikes, and he strikes well. And you can see it as soon as he wins a fight, Fleet Beacon, extra Stargates. He knows he can start going into the carriers, which will just straight up be the decisive factor in this game if Stephano can't punish him before he gets enough of them. And obviously, how do you punish someone after you've lost a fight? It's very difficult. Drogo has money as well. He's got a huge bank to work with here, although this is not a good engagement for him. Too many of his units off up to the top side. The Zealots were not here at all. He's still going to trade out decently, and that's what's so insane about this right now. Does he have charge? Those Zealots were just walking along. I guess they'd use charge up here. In the end, it's probably worthwhile because he actually kills off this hatchery as well. The Immortals do recall out of there. He has the bank to rebuild High Templar quickly enough. And this is actually interesting. He actually just goes straight into Tempests rather than carriers. Knowing carriers take a bit longer to get up, he's maybe aware of the fact that Stephano, being left alone for the first 10 minutes of this game, was able to just take a greater spy in a hive and just go into that without care. And you can maybe be aware of the fact that therefore Stephano is now ready to kind of play a late game. In which case the Tempests come up that little bit faster, and so he's just going to much more quickly here have a response to Broodlords to fight with, and then he's going to be able to go into carriers beyond that instead. Well, we're just going to be seeing the couple of units continuing onwards here from Stephano, just gathering up, but man, he's in a deficit. He didn't just lose bases, he lost drones, and the rebuild is going to take so much money, so much time. He is hurting so badly, and again, we talked about it. Drogo, before that point, had just set up into 5 bases without slowing down at all. So he falls back from that engagement in an amazing position in economy. Dare we look at the income difference? Oh my god, that's disgusting. That's from a 650 income per minute advantage for Stephano to about a 2,000 advantage for Drogo. Look at the army supplies. You can see Stephano and Drogo both dropped off, but Drogo rebuilt, he dropped off again, but he's the one that can rebuild after that. He's already remaxed, and he's already pushing across the map. More Zealots in the main base, just going to pull units out of position. It allows him to get his position placed back onto the map all over again, and we are just going to be seeing this army of Drogo continue to push on forwards, and he is just looking to try and put an end to this game right now, perhaps. The Broodlords are scary, but I don't think they're scary enough when you have these Tempests. Maybe an Oracle would be really nice, just so you could really see just how little there is here. I mean, it's also going to benefit him with an Oracle because he could be able to use the Revelation to just actually use the entire range of the Tempest. Drogo plays it a little bit more safely, actually just backs off for a moment or two, just has more Tempests on the way out, clean up a lot of the creep on the top right-hand side. Remember, this entire map just looked covered in creep just minutes ago, and now, what is there? I mean, there's some creep down the left-hand side of the map. That's cool. You know, that's something. It's not really anywhere too meaningful. I think maybe this base can't be taken because of it, which is an annoyance, but instead, he's just going to take the bottom left. He knows that Stephano is not in a position to move across the map and to deny bases wherever he takes them. So he's just going to start expanding there and going right now, as we do see, pushing forwards. Well, I mean, a couple of creep teamers already going down once more. Stephano loses more and more of his map control. He actually finds the High Templar up to the top side of this. He finds that. What's in the prism? Just Zealots. They're going to go towards the third again. It pulls some units away. It gives maybe the position for Drogo to attack on in. There's Neuroparasites. There is Infestors. Here comes the Revelation. Tags absolutely everything. So Drogo sees it. Now he can lead with the Tempest and start to work his way through the Broadlords ahead of time. Total growth is cute. And there's the Neuroparasites as well. Coming forwards now. He's going to try and take down these Infestors. The Zealots are coming in. The Storm's starting to drop. Extra Tempest showing up all of a sudden. He's fine on top of a couple of Spore Crawlers. Infested Terrans coming down as well. Drogo is taking a lot of losses here, but those Mauls are somewhat standing strong as well, and I think the big thing is that at the end, there isn't actually much fighting army here from Stephano, just the Infested Terrans. The Tempests get rid of the Broodlords. The Infestors have pretty much all gone down in this fight as well. The Hatchery has gone down in the process. And while he cleans this army up, Drogo has so much money in the bank, we have to ask ourselves, does that cleanup even matter? 10 Zealots already warping in. That might just be off a prism somewhere. I can't find them. There they are, down the south side. Bunch of Zealots warp in. Looks as though he's going to be pushing forward to clean up some of this creep maybe, so he can take this Nexus as well. And you know, it's a little bit scary for Drogo because just on 10 gateways, he can't spend all of his money immediately. He started up a few carriers. He starts up extra Stargates now. He will get to carriers. It's just taking a little while to get there. Warhiders coming up the left-hand side. And we are going to be seeing the Zealots continue to gather on the south. It's a lot of Zealots, I have to say. And then again, what else is there to kind of really fight against once carriers come in play? Yeah, I mean, the Zealots are fine. They protect the carriers. The carriers do the rest of the work, really. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could probably add in another wave of High Templar, right? I guess Stephano, or Drogo, sorry, is just maybe most afraid of the potential of a bunch of Lings or something suddenly arriving, like an immediate counterattack. Stephano, if he built like pure Ling Hydra, maybe could have countered and done something after cleaning out that entire army. But, with that said, he didn't. You know, he built up more Infestors, he built up more Broodlords. He's looking for the later game fight, Redux, you know, the V2. And as he gets towards it, well, it just gives Drogo time to build up the carriers as well. I think Stephano maybe just wasn't aware of how much of a bank Drogo had, maybe. Maybe he just feels like, that's his better choice. Maybe he just feels like there's an army already waiting at home for Drogo to kind of deal with this. And something like that comes on through. As we do see the carriers coming forwards, a couple of changelings already being taken down here. More Zealots just kind of cleaning up a couple of Lings up on the top side of this. And we are just going to be seeing, in general, PtitDrogo looking good in his first game of the day. Remember, this is just our second series of the day. Stephano versus Denver went to the way of Stephano, 2-1. After this, we do have Muslim versus Stephano. I think a lot of people in chat are excited for that one. Let me know if you're excited for some TVZ, guys. Muslim's matches start after this series. As we go through every single match in this round-robin group here today. All best of 3. Zealots will charge on in. Baneling's going off. And we're going to be seeing a couple more Banes going down. These Zealots are kind of wasted. I mean, this really makes me feel as though these Zealots were just built as like a, oh my god, just in case he fully kind of throws everything at me right now, let's make sure I have something ready. Rather than, okay, I genuinely need a ton of Zealots in my army. As we do see the carrier count is getting back up now. He wants to make more room in his army for even more carriers, 4 more start up. Seeing the prisons going over to the left. We are going to be seeing quite a few carriers just gathering together in the center. I mean, this army's terrifying. He's kind of missing a mothership, which he had a lot of time to build, but he didn't. Which is a small mistake, I think. But other than that, just going to come through, and we are going to be seeing these carriers are all Drogo really needs. Again, you can argue he took some bad fights. I would argue that he didn't really care. He just wanted to kind of, again, initially trade out those Zealots, maybe. Maybe he did screw it. Maybe he did take a bad fight. But you can kind of see, I think, I think there's reasons these fights have gone the way they did so far. As you see, Zealots clean up this space. They're going to start charging into Hydras. Probes are fighting Spores. This game has had it all, apparently. A couple of Queens will go down here. Finally, the Zealots cleaned up, and the carriers start to make their movements in. Infested Terrans are pretty good against carriers, but all carriers are pretty good against them when they're in high enough numbers as well. Drogo's just being a little bit cautious here, though. Still not attacking in once again. And Stephano, he has this base back up at least, so he at least gets back to mining. Drogo still has bottom left, this base here. He can probably take top right if he wants to as well. It's still going to be a long time before Stephano is confident enough to move towards the upper right-hand side of the map. 4 more Archons being added into play. The mothership, probably, it's over here. Should kind of come in for the army. It's just an extra little something you have to start dealing with then as the Zerg player. 20 minutes in. I thought this one was over a little while ago, but in fairness, Stephano has held off. He took a couple of good fights. And Drogo definitely made a couple of mistakes, but again, mistakes he had the leeway to make because he was just so far ahead from that initial fight that happened around the 13-minute marker. And right now, we're going to be seeing a couple of swords going down. He started to target down some of these Infestors. Neuroparasites get cancelled because he does target down the infestors with the interceptors. Storm's coming down as well. Again, there's some more neurals, but as you can see, those infestors just keep dropping. More infested terrans too. There's still a high tempo 2 with Storm available. And right now, Drogo just keeps on pushing forwards. Although the infested terrans are starting to gather up in numbers, they'll start to get a few kills with that. The carriers back away just slightly. I mean, as the infested terrans disappear, the carriers will rebuild their interceptors and get ready to go again. There's another fight that actually kind of goes kind of the way of Stephano, I suppose. I mean, is it going the way of Stephano? I mean, let's look at the army graph. You can see it's pretty even, but it's just Drogo's able to rebound so quickly afterwards. Comes back in. And the other thing is right now, if you try and take a fight as Drogo, you're now fighting against infestors which have no energy, or very limited energy. And so that's a very different scenario. Drogo can keep up the pressure here, whereas Stephano definitely can't keep up the pressure. And Stephano used all of his energy to fend this off. And that's the big difference between these two armies right now. Drogo isn't reliant on energy. He's just reliant on straight up units. I mean, I guess Storms go a long way, obviously, but his carriers alone can trade well if there isn't actually infestors or so to fight against this. Drogo sends some Zealots over towards this side, maybe looking to hit this base again. There's not much left on this base. I mean, just the general distraction, just the general sort of, you know, pull some units over here to deal with this, because if you don't, you're going to be in some trouble. And we're going to be seeing the army coming around the top side once again. Carriers going to be recalled away at the moment, so recalled away. We are going to be seeing these few Lings and Hydras continue to gather up together on the third base, and we are going to have the mothership coming down from the top side. Again, more of these carriers coming out in towards the center, and we are going to be seeing some probes. Just slowly be the sacrifice of Drogo for more army supply once again. This is going a lot longer than I thought it would. Stephano's really just hanging on until the very, very last chances he has. Can he start coming back into this game? Well, you know, arguably, it's a possibility. He's definitely taking fights, which if it continues like this, maybe. You've also got to remember, he's taking fights like this, which he has to take, because if he isn't taking fights like this, he doesn't have the extra base that Drogo has. He doesn't have the income that Drogo has had. So if you don't trade efficiently, you're going to be in trouble. It's just straight up the truth of this, you know, the truth of the situation. Prism back in towards the third base. Looking its way through an extractor and a hatchery here. Again, going to be seeing those interceptors coming forwards, and a few spore crawlers already going to be in just a little bit of trouble. GG is called. That is going to be Stephano taking game number. Sorry, PtitDrogo taking game. Kate Nash in the music break. Maybe we're done now. Maybe we're done now. Lots of viewers. What's up, everybody? How are we feeling? Thank you so much for tuning in. So many of you almost breaking that 2,000 viewer marker. Maybe during this game. Let's see. This is the top left-hand side. We do have that red Protoss player up one game. This is PtitDrogo. And he's going up against the pink Zerg player to the bottom right-hand side from Gamer's Origin. It is, of course, Stephano. The Muslim coming out of the woodwork after this game as well. Well, after this series. It may not be this game in particular. If Stephano is able to tie us up, take us to a game 3 for the second time tonight. Let's see how this goes. We do see the Overlord again coming across the map. Flying through this very noisy feature of acid plant. In the form of water running out of a pipe. It's a very annoying sound to have listened. It's just so loud. It's like, Protoss buildings warping in are pretty loud. And this is almost as loud as it. It doesn't go when the Overlord isn't over it, but it's one of the things that I hear every time, and I'm like, the more I hear it day after day, I'm like, can you please remove this map from the map pool, or at least shut off the waterworks, please. That would be amazing. Well, we set up here and we do see a Stargate from PtitDrogo just coming down once again. Not going to change up his build just yet. Up a game, you know, honestly. I mean, he's going to change it up at some point, right? That's the great thing about what he did in the last game. Last game, he played super greedy. 2 gates into the 3rd Nexus, lots of gates, but before he really made that many units, he, went into a 4th Nexus. Straight into Storm, no Archon drops. It was, everything was kind of just cutting a couple of corners, which he was able to do because of the way that back border works as a map. Now, here on Astroplant, you don't get that same sort of freedom. You can't take a 3rd base super easily. The 4th base is a little bit further away from the 1st. So it's more important for you to keep the Zerg back, stop the Zerg from attacking you, because it's much easier for the Zerg to attack you and to start pulling you apart to the left and to the right, so... We are going to be seeing a few more lings just popping out from Stephano here early. The first Adept is just sat waiting for its buddy to come and join up and to maybe cause some trouble. There's 4 Zerglings sat at the front, and we do see a couple of Queens. They're able to turn those 2 Adepts away, so no real issue there. The 2 Adepts are just going to shade on through in towards the back of this natural. But they're not going to commit. The lings are there. He doesn't want to go in. He doesn't know how many more lings are waiting. So he just keeps the Adept alive instead. Double gateway. Now, double gateway post Stargate. 3 gates already. Maybe like a Twilight Council and a Resonating Glaives follow-up is a little bit more realistic here. I mean, the question is, why do you have the 3rd gateway when you could have got by with just 2 to wall off with? It does suggest you want to make some more gateway units than usual. So, what will that be? He doesn't necessarily have to go Twilight and Glaives. He could just straight up whoop in more Adepts. Let's see what he does here very soon as he does force a cancel on one of those drones that are building. It's a very easy way, or very safe way, I should say, to guarantee a drone kill / cancel, but it takes a while, it takes a lot more energy than usual. The benefit is you don't take any damage on the Oracle. It's an interesting one, because you also don't kill the drone, you just force a cancel, so you delay the drone. You actually get the minerals back as the Zerg player, so it's an interesting way to approach it. Arguably, therefore, by cancelling that drone, though, you do delay this Spore Crawler, which looks to be maybe Drogo's plan. And as the extra Adept warpins, Stalker gets rid of the Overlord. He actually bypassed the Phoenix here, which is why he had to make a Stalker. And we'll see just the 6 Adepts coming across the map, so a little bit of pressure here. Still no real tech choice thrown down behind this initial Stargate. Ooh, double Robo. Wow. That is different as well, isn't it? So, a bit of a different opener here altogether. Some sentries now warping in and going in towards the double Robo maybe allows him to just crank out a bunch of Immortals, or maybe he builds the Robo Bay and gets super aggressive with some sort of Colossus play. In general, I'd say this is extremely interesting, though. Definitely not the most usual of Protoss builds. Drogo definitely showing off something a little bit different here. There's no way that this Robo was just a mistake, right? And the second Robo was a mistake. It was meant to be a Twilight Council. I don't really think so. The Adepts pulled back right now. You're going to be seeing a few drones just going down here in the 3rd base, so a few drones taking some damage. Some extra sentries will warp in. You're going to be seeing the probes just more coming out of the natural. They're going to move off over to the 3rd base now instead. A couple of Immortals from Drogo will continue to come up in the main. Chrono boosted out, so I wonder if this just turns into a big attack, because he is warping a lot of sentries, which generally suggests you want to be aggressive, but this is obviously not so pretty. Roach is coming across with Roach speed. It's very aggressive, and those Immortals are not ready yet. Oh dear. Well, there's going to be 2 of them. That might be a bit of a surprise here for Stephano when they make themselves known, but Skybao kind of holding on until then, and even that might be difficult to keep these Immortals alive, because at the moment those Roaches are going huge. One of the Immortals is low, and it is just going to go down. It's a shame. It's also a lot of energy used on these sentries to be able to keep this back. This warping gets cancelled as the pylon goes down. I do wonder if Drogo was aiming to be aggressive, though. He starts up a prison now. If this maybe isn't also bad for him, it's a cute recall. And bring us to the probes back to the 3rd base without them being chased down by Roaches. Actually works out quite nicely. The probes get back to the, to the 3rd base, and it's a bit kind of like laughing in the face. The Roaches like, haha, we can get away. You can't chase us. I think these Roaches have to be careful. Stephano doesn't want to lose more than he's lost already. You have to commit into this attack. Seeing the sentries. So maybe one of the targets these Roaches can get now that they're trapped up here. The one sentry with energy gets taken down. It's nice targeting, honestly. I mean, that's the perfect target, really. Meanwhile, I mean, Roaches at the front as well, trying to poke through. Stephano dropping in army supply, though, and as he goes into Hydras, I think this is the moment where we do see Drogo. If he is going to be aggressive, I think this is where he gets aggressive. Right now, all he just takes a 4th base. Again, the sentries do generally mean aggression, but he's used up so much of his energy that it's going to be very difficult for him to actually find the ability to, you know, keep on force fielding as he would usually like to. With the Warp Prism here, it looks as though he is going to be continuing forwards. There's a Warp in of a few more Stalkers. Remember, no Favor Tech behind us. No Forge, no Twilight Council. So it's really just about the power of these Immortals and the number of units which Drogo comes across the map with. Bringing the Oracles as well. Anything will help in this right now, as force fields are going to be essential. But there's a few Ravages to shut down the force fields. Maybe even shut down the Warp Prism if he's able to get himself close enough. It'd be amazing to land some Bowels in the Prism. That would go a huge way to helping out. Stephano loses an Overload though, puts him a bit closer to the supply block. You see the force fields coming down. Ravages a little bit stuck in. The Corrosive Bowels are good, but the Ravages will go down before they pull back. Stasis wards on the Oracles. I like that as well because it really is a way to just cut off a few more units during a fight. Drogo keeps pressing forwards. The Prism needs to get to safety range where it isn't going to be targeted down. And that's going to be right here apparently, as he's going to be in range to still lift up some units. The Hydras cannot target down that Prism, not just yet. Another Immortal showing up to the party. These Immortals have been so key throughout the game. One of them has 16 kills just to show you how important it is. Small counterattack across the map. Roach is finding some damage, but it costs Stephano a 3rd base. This attack of Drogo coming on through and really delivering some damage right now. Pushing on forwards, this should be Drogo potentially able to just wrap up this series 2-0. And they put him off to a great start in this group. Another couple of Queens coming down. Ling's another Ravager dropping as well. Continue to push forwards here. We do see Drogo still cleaning up. Overlords are going down. Stephano is being kept not quite supply blocked, but he's very close to being supply blocked, which is kind of a nuisance because if the fights stop happening, then he won't be able to build more, and then the next fight will be even more difficult for him to deal with. Hydras here are going to be a bit more powerful, as we do see the Blink Micro essentially being brought into play by the Warp Prism, lifting up and consistently unloading. GG. Drogo takes game 2 and the series.